In the headlines of this hour on VTV News, amended law on organization of National Assembly discussed. Later on, opportunities for urban railway development in Ho Chi Minh City. And in a world news, Gaza ceasefire on the brink of collapse.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam, VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is currently 8 a.m. local time and you're tuning in to 30 minutes of VTV News. I'm Lin Lei with the latest updates. Now, National Assembly deputies have confirmed policy revisions to streamline and restructure the organizational structure apparatus. The move occurred on Wednesday during a plenary discussion on the draft law amending and supplementing certain provisions of the law on the organization of the National Assembly. The revisions are designed to enhance the effectiveness and efficiency of the National Assembly and its office.
Proposes amendments and supplements to 35 out of 102 articles of the current law, including clarifying the scope of content to be regulated by law, National Assembly resolutions, and the necessary level of detail. National Assembly deputies expressed interest in clearly defining the authority between the National Assembly, the National Assembly Standing Committee, and the government.
There is strong consensus on the need to clearly define authority to implement the policy of decentralization and delegation. I believe we should be bold in expanding the powers of the National Assembly Standing Committee, meaning additional authority should be granted rather than requiring the National Assembly to delegate its powers to the Standing Committee.
To streamline the organizational structure, National Assembly deputies also provided input on proposals to restructure the National Assembly's organization.
The standing committees of the Ethnic Council and National Assembly shall establish subcommittees, led by a council or committee member, while other members may come from outside these bodies.
The deputies also suggested reviewing regulations on the National Assembly's authority in lawmaking and amending laws.
The draft law adds Clause 2, limiting legal documents to long-term stability matters, excluding administrative procedures and volatile content. It serves as a criterion to distinguish legislative from regulatory authority.
The National Assembly deputies also recommended a review of the 2013 Constitution's implementation and existing laws to adjust the state apparatus for the new era of the nation.
Amending the law on promulgation of legal documents will help modernize lawmaking to better support national development. Many National Assembly deputies shared this view during Wednesday's discussion of the draft law. While most agree with the draft's goal of approving laws in a single session, some feel more review is needed to increase deputy participation. Deputies recommended retaining certain provisions from the current law and clarifying terms like appraisal and examination. They also suggested requiring the draft agency to respond to feedback or organize meetings to address comments. On a Wednesday afternoon, receiving Mr. Choi Joo-ho, General Director of Samsung Vietnam, and his successor, Na Ki-hong, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính thanked and highly appreciated Mr. Choi Joo-ho's contributions during his 6 years working in Vietnam. During this time, he promoted Vietnam-Korea relations and led Samsung Vietnam to continuous growth. He expanded Samsung's ecosystem to nearly 300 Vietnamese companies and built a research and development center. The Prime Minister hoped Samsung would continue to expand its investment, develop research centers, increase localization, achieve double-digit growth, have Vietnamese people in the leadership of Samsung Vietnam shortly, and promote Vietnamese enterprises to participate in the group's global production and supply chains. It took Ho Chi Minh City more than 17 years to complete its first urban railway line. The delays were mainly due to obstacles related to policy and processes. To address these issues, the government proposed 6 special mechanisms in a report aimed at developing the urban railway network in Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi.
According to the report, one of the 6 special mechanisms will be specifically designated for Ho Chi Minh City. This is because the 2024 Capital Law has largely addressed the regulatory obstacles in Hanoi. These 6 mechanisms aim to resolve issues related to policies and regulations in developing Ho Chi Minh City's urban railway system.
This time, the policies must be designed to be highly advanced, covering everything from project preparation to bidding mechanisms. For example, the turnkey contract should be optimized to shorten the lead-in time from 3 to 5 years, while the construction phase should also be completed within the same timeframe.
According to experts, the completion of Metro Line 1 has provided Ho Chi Minh City with valuable experience, enabling the city to confidently move forward with future metro projects. These lessons include project planning, capital utilization, and most notably, implementing the Transit-Oriented Development (TOD) business model, a development approach centered around public transportation.
In the era of digital commerce, office and retail space is no longer as attractive as before. Speed is crucial in this new context, but building more does not guarantee immediate success. Additionally, land auctions are not necessarily easy, especially if there is no buyer demand.
After Metro Line 1, Ho Chi Minh City plans to start Metro Line 2 and launch 3 more lines within 3 to 5 years, aiming for a 355 kilometers network by 2035. This metro expansion is key to modernizing transport and reinforcing the city's role as Vietnam's economic hub.
Vietnam's rice export prices have dropped to their lowest level in 9 years. Specifically, 5% broken rice is priced at $399 per ton, while 25% broken rice stands at $371 per ton. The Vietnam Food Association VFA forecasts rice exports to reach only 7.5 million tons this year. Since January, Vietnam's rice export prices have been the world's lowest, dropping even faster in early February. According to the VFA, many rice exporters are deeply concerned about the sharp decline in orders. Some companies have reported having no signed contracts for exports in February. Vietnam is about to enter the winter-spring harvest season, the largest of the year. With favorable weather conditions, production is expected to be abundant. The rice market remains sluggish, with purchase prices in the Mekong Delta at low levels since the year began. The slump stems from increased global supply as major importing countries boost their own production and implement policies to limit expensive rice imports. However, the Vietnam Food Association notes that despite price fluctuations in the general market, fragrant and high-quality rice varieties maintain stable prices in their niche markets.
This enterprise has just delivered a 100-ton rice shipment to its European partners. By focusing on processing fragrant rice varieties and partnerships with reputable buyers, the factory maintains strong pricing despite market challenges.
We sold this batch of jasmine rice for $700 per ton. We're delighted that the company secured an order at the start of the new year, allowing us to prepare for continuous shipments right after Tet.
Organic rice, produced using clean, low-emission methods, is selling for over $1,000 per ton. Notably, this factory has significantly boosted its profits by millions of dollars per order by investing in the production of these premium rice varieties.
The Australian organization recently paid us approximately $40 million for producing this zero-emission rice. This will serve as a strong incentive for us to expand the production, processing, and export of this premium rice variety.
We plan to continue expanding low-emission rice fields under the 1 million hectare project to ensure high-quality products and enhance sustainable export competitiveness.
In January, rice exports surpassed 500,000 tons, generating $308 million. According to businesses, import bidding packages will reopen in March and April, bringing renewed market activity. With abundant supply and improved quality, our country's rice exports are expected to set new records soon.
In 2024, the textile and footwear industries achieved a combined export turnover of over $71 billion. To achieve over 10% growth this year, businesses focus on expanding production, securing orders, and stabilizing labor resources from the start of the year.
Immediately after the Lunar New Year, this footwear company is racing to complete a 500,000 pair order for the U.S. and European markets in the first quarter. Maintaining a steady payroll is vital to securing orders to reach its annual export target of 2 million pairs.
Our goal is to grow by 9 to 10% compared to 2024. While orders have been secured until the end of 2025, production is impossible without a stable workforce. To achieve our targets, labor stability is key.
A leading textile enterprise, which generated over 4,700 billion VND in exports last year, aims for 10% plus growth by expanding production and hiring new workers early in the year.
In 2025, we plan to hire 5,000 workers across factories in Taiping, Thanh-Hoa, Quảng Bình, and Hanoi to expand capacity, fulfill orders, and drive double-digit growth.
Workers have the right to choose jobs with suitable pay and hours. To attract labor, Vietnam's textile industry now offers Sunday breaks and limits shifts to 9 to 9.5 hours, including breaks, replacing the previous 11 to 12-hour shifts and Sunday work.
Adhering to free trade agreements is essential. Fair working conditions and labor rights benefit employees while enhancing Vietnam's global textile and footwear market competitiveness.
Coming up next on VTV News, Bến Tre ensures fresh water in drought areas. And later on, ethnic youth takes pride in military service.
And Vietnam might just be the location for you. Connect worldwide to advanced logistics networks. Smart Hub for technology and innovation. A dynamic business ecosystem. An environment with a competitive edge.
Welcome back to VTV News. Now on to other important updates. Saline intrusion in the Mekong Delta region is forecasted to be higher in the 2025 dry season than the previous average. To ensure fresh water for domestic consumption and industry, Bến Tre province is one of the localities proactively implementing many drastic and synchronous solutions.
This area used to suffer from a serious shortage of fresh water. To solve this problem, the locality urgently invested in a water treatment complex with up to 5,000 cubic meters of capacity before this year's dry season.
With this water treatment complex, we can provide additional fresh water during the dry season for the entire Giao Long Industrial Park and Tunt Phuoc Industrial Cluster.
For households, storing and using water economically is an effective way to cope with drought and salinity.
I collect rainwater and store it. When eating, drinking, and bathing, I try to save fresh water rather than overuse it.
In line with the JICA program, the province built small sluices to form an irrigation system. The province mobilized people to build temporary dams in each area to ensure water sources for daily life and production.
The drought and salinity caused water shortages for 87,000 households in the province, resulting in more than $62.5 million in agricultural losses. The locality has called for the government to invest in completing the unfinished irrigation sluices to prevent salinity and provide fresh water in the long term.
The Provincial Department of Foreign Affairs said that mine clearance projects in the central province of Quảng Bình have been suspended following the U.S. government's decision to halt funding. The suspension has significantly impacted ongoing efforts to address the dangers of unexploded ordnance left over from wars. 4 U.S.-funded mine clearance projects in Quang have been suspended since the Lunar New Year holiday, pending further notice. More than 350 mine clearance workers in Quang have been directly affected by the decision. Several other projects in the province funded by the U.S. Agency for International Development are also experiencing disruptions. The Hitachi Global Foundation has awarded 6 Vietnamese scientists with the 2024 Asia Innovation Award. Associate Professor Dr. Nguyễn Hữu Hiếu from the Ho Chi Minh City University of Technology, or HCMUT, and Associate Professor Dr. Nguyễn Thị Ái Nhung from the Huế University of Sciences received the Outstanding Innovation Award, while 4 other scientists received honorable mentions. The Hitachi Global Foundation Asia Innovation Award, established in 2020, recognized 15 individuals this year. The award promotes science, technology, and innovation to address societal challenges and contribute to a sustainable future in the ASEAN region. Moving on to other news, over 500 young citizens in Đắk Lắk province have voluntarily applied for military service this year, a significant increase compared to previous years. This reflects the growing sense of responsibility and duty among the younger generation to contribute to the nation's development and defense. Ethnic youth also express strong faith, honor, and pride, ready to dedicate their prime to safeguarding the country.
Before departing for military service, Theo, a diligent Ede ethnic youth, helped his parents on their coffee farm during the irrigation season. He is the only young man from his village joining the army this year. This is a source of pride for his family and a responsibility he fully embraces, knowing that serving in the military allows him to contribute his youth to the nation's defense.
I feel nervous about the new environment, but I am eager to join to better discipline and improve myself.
For Nai Molo, an 18-year-old ethnic youth, this military uniform holds a special and sacred meaning. It marks the beginning of his journey to fulfill a childhood dream.
I have learned that I will be trained at the 38th Tank Battalion. Honestly, I have always wanted to become a soldier of Uncle Ho. I will do my best to fulfill my duties.
Recognizing the importance of recruitment and enlistment, the entire political system has effectively conducted awareness campaigns and education on the military service law. Recently, authorities have personally visited the families of enlistees, offering support, gifts, and encouragement while listening to their thoughts and feelings.
The quality of military recruitment has improved this year. Across the district, all ethnic groups have strictly followed regulations, especially the Ede community, with 100% eagerly joining the enlistment.
In 2025, Đắk Lắk province will have over 2,500 citizens officially enlisting for military service, nearly 48% of whom are ethnic youth. The enlistment ceremony has been fully prepared by local authorities and military units and is set to take place on February 13th.
This year's Red Spring Blood Donation Festival, organized by the National Institute of Hematology and Blood Transfusion, will run for 9 days. With the slogan, Spring Blood Donation, Multiplying Happiness, the event attracts an average of nearly 1,000 blood donors daily. The festival is Spring's largest blood donation program, imbued with the spirit of humanity and a willingness to benefit the community. This year is the festival's 18th year, and it is expected to receive more than 8,000 units of blood at hospitals and known blood shortage locations. Hanoi is the area with the most blood donors. Today marks the 15th day of the first lunar month, the first full moon of the new year. This auspicious day holds deep meaning for Vietnamese people who gather to honor their ancestors and seek their blessings. Even amid modern life's changes, Vietnamese families continue to uphold these traditional customs.
Even in today's modern world, many families maintain these cherished traditions. This morning, Phie and her son were up early to prepare an offering for their family altar.
Our family upholds the traditional custom of preparing a 6-dish feast as an offering to show respect to our ancestors. It's also a time for family gathering and reminds our children to be grateful and virtuous.
Beyond the home, this respect for ancestors is visible at places of worship. At temples like Vạn Phúc Pagoda, people gather before dawn to recite sutras, meditate, and pray for peace and prosperity. They also participate in the ritual of releasing animals.
Everyone is very happy to participate in the release, praying for their family to have a peaceful new year, good health, happiness, and their children's success in their studies.
Visiting the temple on the first full moon of the lunar year has become a cherished tradition in Vietnam. It's a profound journey back to one's roots.
On this special day, we extend our warmest wishes to everyone. Let us work together to create a better world through our words and actions.
The first full moon festival connects people with nature and their ancestors. These traditions continue to be valued and passed down through generations.
Coming up next in our world news, the Gaza ceasefire deal is on the brink of collapse. Multiple countries propose to negotiate with the U.S. on 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports. Now, moving on to our world news, the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel is once again at risk of collapse as both sides are blaming each other for violating the agreement. Israel has warned of resuming military operations, while Hamas has declared that it will not return hostages as planned.
If the hostages are not released by Saturday at noon, the ceasefire will end, and the Israeli Defense Force will resume heavy fighting until Hamas is defeated.
Israeli cabinet members unanimously approved this decision at a meeting on Tuesday. Prime Minister Netanyahu also ordered the army to increase its troop presence in and around the Gaza Strip. The Israeli Prime Minister's statement came a day after Hamas announced that it plans to delay the release of Israeli hostages scheduled for February 15th until further notice, after accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire agreement. Hamas affirmed its commitment to the ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip, while vowing to hold Israel accountable for any changes or delays in implementing the agreement. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called on all parties involved to avoid a resumption of fighting in the Gaza Strip at all costs. Both sides must continue the second phase of negotiations in Doha, Qatar. A ceasefire took effect in the Gaza Strip on January 19th, following an agreement between Israel and the Hamas movement to exchange Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners.
Multiple countries have responded strongly to the U.S. imposing a 25% tariff on steel and aluminum imports. Others have said they will not rush to impose retaliatory tariffs and have offered to negotiate. Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba said that Tokyo will lobby and take all necessary measures to be exempted from the new tariffs announced by the Trump administration and will closely monitor the impact of the policy on the Japanese economy. The Australian government said it has no plans to retaliate against the U.S. tariffs, but is instead working to negotiate for an exemption. Sharing the same view, the UK will negotiate with the Trump administration until the steel tariffs take effect on March the 12th before making a decision. Brazil announced it would not participate in any potential trade war in response to the U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to impose tariffs on imported steel and aluminum. European gas prices have surged 30% in the past months as colder weather, weak renewables, and supply concerns strain storage levels, now at their lowest since 2022. Natural gas futures on the Dutch tidal transfer facility, the European benchmark, rose to 59 euros per megawatt hour on Tuesday, reaching a 2-year high. This year's winter has been prolonged with lower temperatures than expected. forcing households and businesses to use more gas for heating. Data shows that the average reserve level across the European Union has fallen to 48.48%, well below where it should be at this point in the year. The Ask Mona AI interface was presented at the AI Action Summit in Paris on Monday. It allows users to hold conversations with Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. The AI-powered Mona Lisa allows visitors to interact with her by simply scanning a QR code. It is hoped that such conversations will help museums better understand their visitors' needs.
The enigma of my absent eyebrows.
And before we say goodbye, let's have a look at the weather forecast for Vietnam and other locations in the world. And that is all that we have for this hour on VTV News. To rewatch our program, you can visit our website, our YouTube channel, or download the mobile app VTVgo for more. Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now.